Welcome to another exciting episode of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Papergoy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
And today was an epic day. Mr. Magazine joined us over on Whatnot. And let me ask you, Mr. Magazine.
Yep.
What are your thoughts? For being somebody who, we're going to say you're essentially new to Whatnot. You're new to the app, especially on the selling end. You did watch my first two shows, I believe, when I was doing comics. But back then, I didn't know what I was doing either. And we were just kind of all in it together trying to figure it out. Since then, I've had, 120 shows, 140 shows, something like that under my belt. So at this point, I kind of know what's going on a little better with the app. So give me your thoughts. Give me, just talk about Whatnot.
It was okay. I had to get used to it. Then my eyes were failing. I couldn't read because of the phone. If it was like an iPad or something, I don't know if you can do iPad or something like that. Yeah. I would probably do that way, so I don't have to wear glasses and worry about not reading. And obviously I'm shorter than you, so that was a little issue there. And once I get going, I would would forget where your stacks were, so I would probably make them for myself like A through Z alphabetically. So if that was the last time A or first time A would go in there, keep piles. And
right. Basically, I've got a lot of regular customers who I definitely do appreciate. And anytime one of them purchases from me, I know where on the table, roughly, their items go. And then each new item that they buy, I put on that pile. Now, you definitely have to have, or it definitely helps, let's put it that way, if you have a method like that, because it makes the after show a lot easier. Because you don't have to go through, especially I only do 40 magazines, 42 pieces of ephemera, or 36 books. Yeah. But there are people out there that do 100 to 200 items. Can you imagine doing 200 items, having them all sell, but having no organization on where you put the things at? Yeah. And then you got to go through 200 of them to find 7 for somebody's order. Right. Especially if you're selling similar type items. You go, wait, what month was that? What was this? What was that? But any other thoughts about it, just in general, or?
It wasn't too bad once I learned, the button to start the auction and so forth, and fanning through it. I got to get more comfortable and practice a little bit so speak a little better and a little more entertaining. I don't know if I can have quite your high-pitched voice, but something that, it'll go more smoothly instead of, trying to wing it a little more and think about what to say and stuff. But, or if I prep it, if I were to prep instead of you, I'd be more familiar with the books or something, and maybe I'd say something a little more, interesting. Who knows?
Now, what about the results?
Good results, yes. Yeah, happy, almost... Was it 36, 37 out of 40, something like that?
So, yeah, 36 out of 40 sold. So that was.
And once we see what sold the best, we'll bring more of that stuff. Sci-fi was good. Comic ones were good. Maybe we'll try some celebrity. I don't know. We'll see what goes.
Yeah, so it was. It definitely was a lot of fun to do as far as that goes, and it was fun to have Mr. Magazine. It did throw me off my game a little bit, only because, again, I'm used to doing it solo there. And to have somebody else there, especially when you were going to sell things, because it is such a small screen. And that's why a lot of people, if you have multiple people there, a lot of times what they'll have is they'll be running the stream on an iPad, for example. So they'll be running the auction on the phone. They'll be running it also on the iPad. That way the other person can be reading the comments as well. Yeah.
I think that's where I was failing the most. It was like that area, and then you kind of took over, which is good. I couldn't read them, but again, once if I could see them or something, and I think if they were lower, closer to the table, I'd look down at it and be able to say hello to everyone that chimed in or whatever. So.
Right. Well, and then the other problem, to take you backstage just for a few minutes, the other problem is, and it's not the ideal setup for me, I've got a white tablecloth, and the printing on the chat comes in white. So a lot of times it's almost white on white. So there are times where I actually have to put my hand up to kind of block the white to be able to read somebody's name if I don't recognize it right away. So that is a common problem as well on that.
Gotcha.
Now, what did you think about greeting everybody when they came in and all that?
Yeah, it's good. I just had to get used to it. If I want to do it myself or with you, and take over for once a month or something like that. Definitely got to get it better, get more used to it, and I'll get better as it goes on.
Right, and then the other thing too is, and I don't know if you noticed this or not, but there were a couple of people who came into the auction that I know from prior auctions what it is they like, and I know that I have stuff in a future auction that they would like. So another big thing to do when you're on there is always promote your next auctions. And say Mr. Magazine came in, and I know he likes Batman and this and that, and I'm like, oh, Mr. Magazine, you definitely got to check out this auction we're having here. I know I've got 3 or 4 Batman things coming up, and I just put up an auction 3 weeks from now. Check it out. It's got like 5 different Batman items in it. You're definitely going to like it because that drives traffic to your future auctions as well. Yeah. And if you know what it is that people like, and I think that's one of the big things that we're learning off of this over here, is treating it like a beta. Treating it like we don't know at all. I mean, for all I know, Smithsonian magazines could be the hottest magazines in the world on there, and early Sports Illustrated could die. I don't know. I've never tried to sell that kind of, I've never tried to sell more than a magazine or 2 on the spot or on the site. So as we learn as we go along, we can say, okay, these people like this sells, this person likes this sells, and oh boy, 4 different auctions we tried to bring up car magazines and they didn't sell, or whatever the case happens to be. Well, obviously we're not going to keep banging our head against the wall. We're not going to say, darn it, you're going to buy car magazines, or we're going to do a 4-hour car magazine auction. Right. Well, good luck to us. You're going to have the tumbleweeds coming through. And that's another very important thing. And I think that the site, I think one of the positive things, I'm going to say this, Mr. Magazine, I want to hear what your thoughts on this are. I think one of the beauties of the site is you get instant feedback.
Yeah.
And because people can shout out to you what they want, and you can put an item up and you can see what ends up selling. And if you bring the same type item up the next week and it sells again, then you kind of say, okay, for whatever reason, this kind of item sells well here, especially if it picks up multiple bids. And I don't think you really, I guess, what did you think of because this is not at all what you do over on eBay. What did you think of the 30-second auctions?
That was good, yeah. Yeah, that was good. I think a minute's definitely too long. Anything lower than 30 seconds would be enough. So I think it's perfect.
Well, what about the I guess the fact that you can put it up and you get feedback in 30 seconds.
That's nice too.
You put something or other up on eBay. Let's say, give a spoiler alert to a Bolo video that we have coming up. But one of the items I sold in it was an Opera News on eBay. But let's say that I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I pick up a collection of 100 Opera News. I go on eBay and I list all 100, and none of them sell.
Right.
And one finally sells in 4 months. I spent an awful lot of time listing those. Yeah. And even if I list it hoping to be able to sell at auction, still generally speaking, you're waiting 7 days to get feedback.
Right.
On Whatnot, I put it up 30 seconds later. I go, yep, those don't sell. Or, wow, that sold for $14.
Yeah.
Wow. You get instant feedback, and it gives you a lot more opportunity to experiment with things. Let's just say, we'll just use the Opera News as an example. Say that I've been dealing with you regularly, and I'm like, you want to sell me a box of magazines a week.
Yeah.
And so I grab an Opera News because I don't know any better. I put it in my box, and I go, and it sells for $14. Guess what I'm doing next week when I'm coming back?
Busting out more?
Buying some more Opera News from you. So I think that that's an underappreciated thing on the site, is that I think you get instant feedback on stuff. And yes, you don't always get the money that you would get elsewhere, but you did okay. And it was a lot faster to do the auctions and a lot faster to sell them. And that's a very, very positive thing. So yeah, you're leaving some money on the table. But as you mentioned during the auction, you have 100,000 magazines.
Yeah.
You probably aren't going to get all 100,000 listed anytime soon on eBay.
Nope.
If you did, you're not going to sell 100,000 of them on eBay.
Right.
You sold 36 out of 40. So that's, 72 and 18. That's 90% sell-through rate.
Nice.
What's the last collection you picked up that you had 90% sell-through rate on eBay? It's been a while.
Yes.
Been a while.
Yes, for sure.
And so I don't expect you to all of a sudden be, doing 6-hour marathon whatnots every night. I certainly don't expect you to become, turn into that. But hopefully you do see why I find the site so great, why I enjoy it. I mean, it definitely has its positives that a lot of other people, again, if you're just focused on the money as far as, I could get $14 for this on eBay. Well, yeah, you could. You could,
Yeah.
but you could get 6 on Whatnot and sell it in 30 seconds, or 14 on eBay, maybe next week, maybe next year. We just had something in a Bolo video that took over 20 years to sell. Yeah, I'd rather get the money out of pretty quickly out of there,
for sure.
out of Whatnot. So thank you for being on there. And Mr. Magazine will be making more frequent appearances over there. He's going to be getting some more magazines together, so we're thinking about maybe once a month having him be on there. And before you know it, he'll be. I think he took to this like a duck to water. He's a natural auctioneer. So it was a lot of fun and really good to have him there, and we had a lot of fun bantering back and forth, and people in the chat seem to love it as well. Yeah. So definitely do stay tuned for the next time he'll be on there. Stop on by and support us if you could. We really would appreciate it, and we will see you. Oh, hit the like button. What are you doing?
Definitely.
And we'll see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.